Hello, good to be here again with you. My name is JJ Dewey. I'm an author, philosopher, and business person from Boise, Idaho. I have some interesting ideas to discuss with you. But first of all, I want to make sure that you can understand the reasons for some of the ideas I'm going to present. The basic theme of some of the presentations I'm going to give is going to be majority rule and the reasons why this is beneficial. Let's go back to a quote I gave last time from Thomas Jefferson. I want to emphasize this. He said these words, "I subscribe to the principle that the will of the majority honestly expressed should give law." Now, that's a powerful statement. A lot of people think that the Founding Fathers were against majority rule, but that's not the case at all. There was a division among the opinion of the Founding Fathers on quite a number of things, including majority rule. But Thomas Jefferson was pretty much the champion of it, and he loved the principle of majority rule. He thought that was the ideal. Now, he realized that you couldn't always obtain the ideal, but that was the ideal that he fell in love with, and he presented again and again and again. Now, there are several quotes attributed to Jefferson that make it sound like he is against majority rule, but these quotes are actually fabricated. There are several quotes I have found that are fabricated, attributed to him, that are against majority rule, but I have found out that they are incorrect. But the ones that are correct show that he was very much in favor of it. Now, the number of objections to majority rule, let me just cover three in particular that we often hear. The first is you often hear people say, well, majority rule is just mob rule. Well, that's not really true. For one thing, a mob is rarely composed of any majority. A mob is usually a minority that's gathered out of a majority that can't have their way any other way than by force. And such a mob is almost always composed of a minority of people, and furthermore, the mob doesn't really rule in any government. So it's really a false accusation to accuse majority rule as being comparable to mob rule, because mob rule is usually composed of a minority of people getting together that have a chip on their shoulder that's not getting their way, so they decide to take the law in their own hands. Now, we're talking about implementing majority rule through a legal, systematic order. Has nothing to do with any mob. So that objection really doesn't carry any water. The second objection is we often hear the statement, the majority rule is like having 3 wolves and a lamb deciding what we're going to have for dinner. Well, that really doesn't make any sense either. For one thing, we as a people are all of the same race. Now, we kind of are that way with animals ourselves. We're in power. I don't know if it's necessarily because the human race is the majority, but the human race has power, therefore we can decide to eat lambs or cows or any animals that are out there, rabbits or chickens. So we eat them because we have power. But that's not really a good example of majority rule, because we're all of the same race. We as a human race do not gather as a majority and decide to eat each other. If there's tyranny, it's always through a minority. Whenever you hear about tyranny happening, like North Korea is dictated to by Kim Jong-il, and he's pretty much a minority of one. You don't find a majority creating the terrible rule they have in Korea or any other tyranny that's ever been upon the earth. So that objection doesn't make any sense, because we are all the same people. The third one is a quote that is often given, and let me read it to you. It was created by a man named Alexander Fraser Tyler, and he said this: "A democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the voters discover that they can vote themselves largesse from the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority always votes for candidates promising the most benefits for the public treasury, with the result that a democracy always collapses over lousy fiscal policy, always followed by a dictatorship." Now, this quote is given for a reason why we should have a republic instead of a democracy. But doesn't that describe our republic? Are not our representatives in our republic voting money from the public treasury to whoever will vote for them? And so we're voting out of our public treasury right now all kinds of money for the benefit of those that will support the republic. So, you know, how's this working out for us right now? It's not working out for us. So this criticism really doesn't hold water. And why doesn't it hold water? For one thing, what's important to realize is that we have never had a true democracy on the history of the planet Earth. So we can't say a democracy will or will not work because we haven't had one. Now people say, well, there was a democracy in ancient Greece way back in Athens. They had a democracy. Well, in Greater Athens, the people, there was about 300,000 people in Greater Athens. And there was a lot of people that couldn't vote at all. Slaves couldn't vote, women couldn't vote, and only one member of each family that represented citizenship had the right to vote. So out of 300,000 people, there were only about 30,000 that had the vote. That's about 10%. So really, Athens was really a representative democracy because each person that voted represented 10 other people. So it wasn't really a pure democracy. Any society that had slaves certainly wasn't a pure democracy.